Hi and welcome back to my channel. It's important to recognise if we have bad habits in every walk of life, and there are many bad habits that can keep us poor. I'm far from perfect and I'm forever learning, but today I'm going to talk about 9 bad money habits that keep many people poor. A lot of these are subconscious day-to-day habits that can have a long-term effect on overall wealth, without us even realising it. These are the kind of habits that can keep you in debt or struggling financially. If you're struggling, then the sooner you replace bad money habits with good money habits, you'll be amazed at how much money you can save over time. So the number one habit that will keep you poor is not using your time wisely. Time is the most valuable asset you have. A lot of people will suggest money is the greatest asset, but it's really not. Everyone in the world has only 24 hours in a day. Obviously, you can't work every hour of the day, and keeping a work and social life balance is important, but you need to put achieving your goals as a priority. The old saying goes, time is money, and there are many bad habits associated with this that will keep you poor. For example, drinking and hangovers. Now, I'm not saying don't go out and enjoy yourself, because I love a few beers on the weekend, but what I'm saying is that if you go on a 2-day bender, well, that's 2 days of your life that's gone, and you'll probably not have much to remember of it and likely have a massive hole in your pocket. When I was younger, I would go out and party till 6, 7 in the morning, and not only was that whole night wasted, but then I didn't wake up till gone lunch and I felt like complete bags the next day. So I didn't do anything the day after. So by all means go out and have a few drinks, but perhaps have a cut-off time, and those of you older who are watching this will appreciate the older you get, you really don't want to mix drinks. Nowadays, I'll stick to one type of alcohol. As soon as I mix one beer with wine, then the next day is 10 times worse, so be mindful of this. But it's not only the time wasted. Drinks are expensive, your taxi or Uber home may be expensive, if you smoke then that's expensive, and then your hangover takeaway is likely going to be expensive. So I'm not trying to sound like the party police, because I thoroughly believe in having a good time, but unfortunately those hours partying will not be used productively. If you want to be rich, you're going to have to proactively do something about it. Years ago, I would have never turned down the chance for a drink on an evening, but now I quite often turn it down to be productive. Another bad habit relating to time that many people do is sleeping excessively. I will always try to have 8 hours max unless I really need a lie-in. Realistically, most people don't need more, and while you may be tired as you start to reduce yourself from 9 or 10 hours of sleep, your body will eventually adjust. Another massive time waster is social media and other apps on your phone. I highly advise limiting the amount of time you spend on social media or on your phone. While many people love Instagram, it is a massive time-wasting hole. If you've not watched the documentary The Social Dilemma on Netflix, then I highly recommend you do. Basically, they asked the lead developers at many social media platforms if they would ever let their kids use social media, and every single one of them said no way, because these apps are made to be addictive. They literally track how many seconds you spend looking at each post, so they can then show you more of the same content again, because time is money for them. And the more time they can keep you on their app, then the more adverts they can show to you. I've personally blocked social media apps in the daytime. On many phones nowadays, you can get well-being trackers that break down exactly how long you've spent on each app, and you can block these apps from being available on your phone between certain hours of the day. Also, another little tip is minimizing notifications on your phone from apps that aren't essential for your day, because they are all fighting for your attention and it's so easy to be drawn in. Another huge time waster is the amount of hours spent watching TV or streaming programs. I personally spend an hour to an hour and a half max a day watching TV, whereas I know many people who will get in from work and binge watch an entire series. Now, there's nothing wrong with watching stuff, but perhaps restrict the amount of hours you do this for. There's also a difference when watching entertainment versus educational content that can progress you in your career or educate you to reach your financial goals, like watching my channel. Also, many people have subscriptions to so many streaming providers nowadays, such as Sky, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and do you really need all of them? Probably not. If not, then get rid of them, because these companies prey on people that just forget about their subscriptions. It's just recurring income for them. Now, like I said earlier, you need to have a work and life balance. So I'm not just saying cut out all the fun things in life that I've just talked about. Just be mindful of the hours spent doing these, and then think of the things you could be doing with your time instead. If you cut some of these out, you will now have more time to read, more time to do educational courses. You could do more exercise, and while this may not directly constitute to making more money, it always helps me personally to be more productive and releases endorphins so that I feel good. Meditation is apparently amazing also, and is something I've wanted to try for a while, and it's really beneficial for so many aspects of life. And I know I look like John Lennon, and I'm not just saying that because I'm secretly a hippie. Also, when you have more time, you'll have the ability to work on more side hustles and network with others. Also, once you do this, I recommend you track your progress by setting measurable goals. Set goals over an achievable time period and commit to them. Don't be too hard on yourself if you don't achieve them. I personally do yearly goals, but if you want to make them monthly or weekly, then that's up to you. It's the small steps that will eventually end up reaching the bigger goals. Also, when I say measurable goals, don't just say, I want to be rich. Say you want to make, say, 100K by the end of the year, then it's measurable as to whether you've achieved this or not. And perhaps write your goals down. A fun fact is that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So the next habit that will keep you poor is not having multiple income streams. If you don't have multiple income streams, you will forever rely on your 9 to 5 for income. Having one source of income is going to restrict your chances of getting rich. You could be high up in a company, but not everyone will ever make it that far, so improve your chance by diversifying your income streams, and who knows, perhaps one of these side hustles will end up doing so well that you turn it into your full-time job. You have to remember there is always limits when you're giving up your time for an hourly rate or salary, as there's only 24 hours in a day. This goes back to the time being the most precious asset. If you can get a side hustle that generates passive income while you sleep, then that's even better. If you want ideas for side hustles, then I did a video recently, which you can check out up here and in the description below. Did you know that 65% of self-made millionaires had 3 streams of income? And 45% of self-made millionaires had 4 streams of income, and 30% of self-made millionaires had 5 or more streams of income. Now, one bit of advice is that when you pick a side hustle, then make sure you commit to it. I think this is why I personally failed at many side hustles when I was younger. Some of these take time to see results, but I discussed this more in depth in my other videos, so I recommend you go check that out. The next bad habit that will keep you poor is buying things you can't afford or don't need. There's a general rule of thumb that if you have to ask yourself if you can afford it, then you probably can't. I personally have a habit of running most of my technological items into the ground, or I won't buy a new one unless the old one prevents me from doing something that I critically need. Ask yourself, do you really need a new computer or a new phone, or are you just getting it because you want it? Not to even mention the environmental impact of buying new items all the time just because you want them. Another bad habit that goes along with this is buying things to impress others. Don't get me wrong, yes, it's nice to have new designer clothes and shoes, but do you need to buy everything designer? Lots of people actually dress really fashionably without having brand names all over their clothes. I've never really understood people who wear big labels on their clothes when the clothes are actually really unfashionable. If you must buy designer stuff, then perhaps be selective with your spending. This also includes buying rounds of drinks for your mates. Those 30 to 50 quid rounds of shots really add up. And I can guarantee your mates won't remember who was buying shots a month down the line. Would you rather look rich and not be able to pay your bills, or actually be rich? Unfortunately, we live in a society where wealth is glamorized, but you have to remember what you see on Instagram is often not reality. I have mates who often depict living a lavish lifestyle on Instagram, but the reality is they never have any money at the end of the month. Your focus should be on being rich rather than looking rich, and stop trying to show wealth through buying items. You should never try to keep up with your mates, and always live within your means. If your friends keep forcing you to do stuff that's expensive, then tell them you can't afford it. And if they are real friends, then they should understand. And you never know, if they are really rolling in it, then they may even offer to pay for you. So the next bad habit that will keep you poor is not paying yourself first. So most people pay bills, do food shopping, buy stuff for themselves, then save what's left over at the end, which is quite often nothing. You really need to work out how much you can realistically save each month, then rearrange this order. Keep a track of what you're spending and where your money is going so you can do this. So by all means, pay your critical items first, like bills and rent, then put aside your pre-decided monetary amount to save or invest. Then buy food, and then if there's anything left over, this is when you treat yourself. The problem is that if you don't do it in this order, then if you get a salary increase, you'll be susceptible to what's called lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep, whereby your spending grows just because your income has grown. Because you'll end up buying a nicer phone or a newer car or a bigger house, just because in your mind you have more money, so you will never end up saving. So turn it around, put aside money each month and invest it. The sooner you start, the better. Don't put it off or say that you'll do it later, because this is a never-ending cycle. Force an amount every month, even if it's just £50. There's always a reason to not do this, so set up a standing order on the day you get paid to move this money to another account. I think you can even set up a standing order with some brokers to pay them every month straight into your brokerage account. The reason I say start investing now is because the sooner you start this, then the easier it is for most people to become a millionaire through compound interest. I did a video on this, so I recommend you go check that out, and I'll put the link to it up here and in the description below. For example, using the average return of an S&P 500 index fund, which is a fund you can invest in, and the fund buys into 500 of the biggest companies on the US exchanges. This has an average return of 8% per year over many years. So I'm not saying it returns 8% every year, but one year it may return 20%, another year it may return -2%, another year it may return 4%, but it averages out to 8%. So if we use this rate, if you started at age 20, you could potentially be a millionaire by the retirement age of 65 by saving $200 a month. If you wait till 30, you'd need to save $436 each month to become a millionaire by age 65. So this is why the sooner you begin, the better. But I explain this a lot more in detail in my other video, so I highly recommend you go check that out. But when you start investing, over time, the money earned through interest will massively exceed what you deposit. If you want to know more about investments or personal finance, then I highly recommend subscribing to the channel, as I upload new content every week. Also, please note the information in this video is not intended to be investment advice, and if you want investment advice, then you should seek a licensed professional. Also, past performance is not indicative of any future results. Another reason that will keep you poor is being selective with what you do with your savings. Now, I personally keep a rainy day fund, but over and above this, I don't keep money in a bank account due to the current interest rates being less than inflation. Currently, interest rates at the time of recording on the 13th of November 2021 are less than inflation rates. So hypothetically speaking, say a loaf of bread is £1 now, and the current inflation in the UK is 3.01%, then next year that loaf of bread will cost you £1.03 if the shop adjusted it exactly to match inflation. Obviously there's a lot more going on at the moment with supply chain issues and all the rest of it, but we're just ignoring those for this example. Bank interest is currently at 0.1%, so your £1 in the bank next year will only be worth £1 and not even £1 and a penny. It's 0.1p extra, whereas the cost of living will be 3p higher on every pound. So now your loaf of bread is £1 and 3p, so your money in the bank is devaluing. You need to make your money work for you, and if possible, make it return more than inflation. If you're looking to sign up for a stockbroker, then I personally use eToro as my main broker, and there is an affiliate link down below this video where if you sign up using it, then I will get a kickback and it doesn't cost you anything extra. The next habit keeping you poor is possibly the people you hang out with. Apparently you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, according to Jim Rohn. So if you hang out with people who aren't ambitious and just settle or want to get drunk or stoned or watch TV all day, then you're never going to get anywhere. Ambition radiates, and if you've ever done a sport or hung out with someone who is better than you at something else, then you'll often pick up on their skills, and they will often try to push you to do better, and they will often be willing to teach you. I'm not saying that everyone you hang out with needs to be a millionaire entrepreneur, but keep your friendship group varied, as who you hang out with will also impact how much you save and spend, and I'm sure you'll learn things from a varied friendship group. And if you don't know many successful people, then the internet can often help through forums and Reddit. Another habit keeping you poor is credit cards. While they are great, they are also dangerous. If you're going to use a credit card, then make sure you pay it off straight away. I personally pay off the full balance of mine every week. The whole reason credit card companies make money is from people buying stuff that they can't afford and not being disciplined enough to pay off their bill on time. The last habit that will keep you poor is not taking advantage of legal ways where you don't need to pay taxes. Now, I must reiterate, I'm not saying avoid paying taxes, There are legal ways to go about this, and I'm not advising you to break the law. There are legal ways where you don't need to pay unnecessary taxes. Now, these will differ in every country and likely have a different name, but in the UK you've got things such as ISAs, and in the US, I believe these are called Roth IRAs, but don't quote me on this. If something similar exists in your country, they are likely to have a different name, so your best bet is to either give it a quick Google or go speak to an accountant, as you don't want to not pay taxes where taxes are due, because that's a surefire way to end up in jail. Also, while accountants do cost money, they can save you money in the long run. When filling in your tax form with things that are tax deductible, such as expenses related to work, so it may be worth speaking to one just to find out where you stand. Again, every country is different here, so I can't really shed too much knowledge, so I highly recommend you speak to one yourself. So that's it for this video. Remember, to turn a bad habit into a good habit, then it's best to start small, break them down, and possibly don't try and tackle them all at once. For a new habit to stick, it has to be easy enough so that it can become routine. So start small and work your way up. I guarantee the effects of your bad habits may not seem to make much difference on any given day, but the impact over time will be massive. So get rid of those bad habits and replace them with good ones today. If you know of any other bad habits that can make people poor, or if you've got any questions or any suggestions on how to help people out, then let us know in the comments below. I'd love to know, and I read all your comments. Also, if you got any value from this video, then please smash the like button, as it massively helps support this channel. Also, if you want to learn more about personal finance or investing, I have numerous videos on my channel, so I recommend you go check them out. So please subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future updates, as I upload new content every week. It's been Ollie from Get Geek Finance. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.